This is a clip of Charlie Kirk and Mike Davis, who is head of the Article 3 project, and he is literally a former Chuck Grassley staffer who assisted Grassley in selecting judicial nominations.
Was this a guy? Was this guy also? Will you just look up and see if this guy is the guy who was a clerk for Gorsuch at one point? Because I think it is, and I think he's on Twitter. He had some. Go look at his Twitter feed, because he just posted some bat crap crazy stuff on Twitter too. That is,
he definitely led the outside support team for Gorsuch's nomination for sure.
Go look on his Twitter feed about what was so-called. I think he's
he said in his bio, law clerk Justice Gorsuch. He's also a law clerk.
Go look for his tweet on the black underclass, and we will show that after this. But this is
Hanania reader.
This is Mike Davis. Again, he's with the Article 3 project. He was Chuck Grassley's former chief counsel for nominations, and he also law clerked for Gorsuch and ran Gorsuch's sort of like a nomination process from the outside. So this guy's not that far removed from these people. Certainly, I would imagine, has not had a falling out. But listen to this and then find that tweet.
Mike, I've never called for lava to rain down from the heavens, but maybe upon Washington, D.C. Would you be that sweet red hot lava for us?
I've never been called sweet, and you call me Sweet Ginger, so I think I meant then. During my 3-week reign of terror as Trump acting attorney general, before I get chased out of town with my Trump pardon, I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. We've talked about this, Ben. I have 5 lists ready to go, and they're growing. List number 1, we're going to fire. We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch and the deep state. Number 2, we're going to indict. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other scumball, sleazeball Biden, except for the 5-year-old granddaughter who they refused to acknowledge for 5 years until the political pressure got to Joe Biden. Number 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious. We're going to detain a lot of people in the D.C. Gulag and Gitmo. And list number 5, I'm going to recommend a lot of pardons. Every January 6th defendant is going to get a pardon, especially my hero, Horn Man. He is definitely at the top of the pardon list.
We actually went out and have some upcoming content with Jacob Chansley.
I mean, again, like this whole idea of like MAGA Republicans. This is Chuck Grassley's former chief of staff for his nominations. This guy was a law clerk for a Supreme Court justice. And not only that, ushered his, managed his nomination process.
Justice Gorsuch privately called Mr. Davis the general of his confirmation. Kavanaugh referred to the former Senate aide as a, quote, warrior on his behalf. Orrin Hatch of Utah praised Mr. Davis as, quote, the tip of the spear in the Kavanaugh hearings.
Here he is on Twitter or X just today.
Let's stop pretending this isn't a major problem. Okay, so I guess this is in reference to Clay Travis.
Doing some racist agitprop. A 38-year-old, this is Clay Travis, a 38-year-old father of 3 was shot and killed in downtown Chattanooga by a man arrested 66 times prior. How in the world are you still on the streets after 66 arrests? And Mike Davis says, let's stop pretending this isn't a major problem. It's long past time to mass incarcerate the violent black underclass. I'll just say, we arrest more people than any other country in the world right now, and we
not per capita in the or jail more people in the world.
Per capita,
yes,
we're very high up there as well.
Yes.
And in terms of like the racial sort of allocation of that, we arrest black people at a rate disproportionately higher than apartheid South Africa did.
He said, so the black underclass, they're a danger to America, especially to hardworking, law-abiding black Americans and other minorities who are stuck living with these monsters. Enough. Monsters.
Just to give you an update of what's happened in New York City. There have been more than 1 million traffic stops since Eric Adams took office last year. He's a former cop. Of drivers, top 62% were given summons, 2% were arrested. That means 38% were just stopped. The vast majority of people arrested, out of those 2%, nearly 90% were black or Latino. It's quite a coincidence. This is really black New Yorkers. They account for 22% of the city's drivers, made up 32% of the vehicle stops. White New Yorkers make up 40% of drivers, but accounted for just 25% of traffic stops because it is inherent in black people that they drive in a way that attracts more. Yeah, suspiciously. But here's what's amazing. Where is this figure? Okay. Police have been stopping more pedestrians since Adams took off. The NYPD is on track to stop more New Yorkers on foot this year than they have in any year prior to 2015. Just 5% of pedestrians stopped by police under Adams were white. That means 95% of pedestrians stopped by the police in this city were black or brown. That's just
an insane figure.
What a coincidence.
Right. And the conservatives, the tough on crime people would say that those figures don't prove bias. They just prove inherent criminality in those communities. So when Mike Davis pretends to be a defender of the hardworking, law-abiding black Americans and other minorities who are stuck living with these monsters, it is genuinely childish perceptions of what criminality really means, as opposed to like much of it being a social construct, and also the numbers not coming from God, them being a result of enhanced police surveillance or harassment of those communities.
Exactly.
As opposed to just the methodology being completely pristine.
The drivers in Fordham, Highbridge, Morrisania sections in the Bronx were more likely to be searched and arrested than drivers in any other neighborhood because there's more cops there. And the idea that black and brown people necessarily commit more traffic violations